While your day is winding down, they're just getting started. This is South Coast Tonight with Chris McCarthy and Marcus Farrow. They've got you covered on all the news of the day, from local issues to politics on both sides of the aisle. This is the place where the movers and shakers come to be heard, to listen, and where they're held accountable. This is South Coast Tonight on WBSM.
Welcome back. That was a doozy. That was Bristol County Sheriff Paul Heroux. He's actually going to call back tomorrow. So we're working on that. He's going to call in tomorrow to Chris and me to talk more about his findings from the ICE, from reviewing the tapes for that May 1st, 2020 incident with ICE that we haven't seen. You know, we talked about it. We had Sheriff Hodgson in when while he was campaigning, and he talked about we had the plaintiff from one of those cases just happened to call in. It's crazy. And now Sheriff Heroux says he has the tapes. He talked a little bit about what he saw, and we're going to get into that. I see some people patiently waiting on the line. Let's get to the phones. Good evening. Hello. Good evening. Oh, okay. So 508-996-0500 is how you can get on the program. We'll also take your messages on the WBSM app chat. That was quite, again, a doozy of a news. I got some messages asking the sheriff questions. Asking the sheriff questions. I couldn't get to him obviously because then we got into that, and that's a major, major story. So we'll talk more about that with Bristol County Sheriff Paul Heroux tomorrow. But just reacting to it, what he said is it wasn't a riot, but it was also the incident was preventable. He said former Sheriff Hodgson's recounting of that event was more or less accurate. So, except for a couple of specific incidences, which he said he didn't, he was pretty disturbed by. The way he described them, I'm also disturbed by. Having a guy who's in cuffs, holding his face up to a chain link fence with a dog with no muzzle on the other side, seems well outside the scope of anything that's necessary. The incident with the guy who he said he couldn't get on his knees because his knees hurt. He said there was other positions that he could have assumed, but they could have helped him assume. He said that incident was taken too far. We'll get more into the details with him. I have a copy of that report somewhere. It's public, but a copy of that report on my computer somewhere. I'll have to read it again so that we can get into that, because that is really important. So I did reach out to the press, public information officer, John Darling. He said the information is with Attorney General Campbell's office. So I am in the process of writing an email to Attorney General Campbell's press secretary. So 508-996-0500. Good evening. Hello.
Yes, good evening, Marcus.
Hey, what's up?
How you doing? Why can't the public see this video and see for themselves?
We're gonna get a copy of it. I'm asking. Well, we're gonna try to, because apparently the Attorney General has the authority to distribute it. So I'm writing a letter. I'm writing a letter, an email to Campbell's press secretary, and asking her to if we can have the tapes.
Well, it's freedom of information.
I understand.
You can demand that.
I know what a FOIA. I know what a FOIA is, but I happen
you're
to
an attorney. I'm just saying that's something that you're going to pursue if you don't get it. If they give you the runaround.
Yes, we will FOIA the tapes if we don't get them. But I know Campbell's press secretary. I'm going to ask them right now. I don't have a FOIA form with me. I'm just going to ask them if they can send it. If they don't send it, then yes, we will pursue a FOIA. Yeah, of course.
Because that's the best way to do it, because other than that, it's hearsay. You have Sheriff Hodgson said one thing. You got Sheriff Hero saying another.
Well, not really. I mean, he said that Hodgson's accounting of it was more or less correct, but there were some specific incidences of abuse that he was that he was upset about.
So he's accusing the former sheriff of malfeasance?
I think he's accusing one of the employees of that. I would say that's fair to say.
Yeah. Well, when it's like you said, when we see the video, then the video, put it this way, will speak for itself. As far as the news story, that top news story of the day, Jack Douglas Texera of North Dighton.
Yeah, it's quite a story.
It's quite a story. With that, but what's hard to believe is that according to Bloomberg, they say Jack was a petty junior. Some news reports say he was an Air Force pilot. Merrick Garland says he's an employee of the Massachusetts Air Force National Guard.
Yeah, that was my understanding.
And then Bloomberg's reporting that Jack was a cyber specialist. Another news report says...
Well, he could be working for the Air National Guard and be a cyber specialist. That goes.
And then they said another news report from a different news outlet said he's an IT support.
Well, that seems. I mean, those things are fairly, cyber specialist and IT guy. That doesn't seem like that's far off. I mean, he could, and it's not mutually exclusive. He could be doing IT or some sort of computer tech stuff and be working for the Air National Guard. I'm quite certain they have a time and space for somebody that has those skills.
The Associated Press said that the New York Times was the first to identify the leak. Now, my question is, how does the New York Times get privy to that information? Are they part of the Pentagon?
I mean, the New York Times has sources in the Pentagon, obviously.
Yeah.
In fact, the Pentagon feeds the New York Times stories quite a bit.
Well,
the CIA does
this
too.
This is a matter of national defense.
Yeah.
You're going after someone that is allegedly, or you have suspicions. Then there was a leak from the Pentagon to the New York Times. There's leaks everywhere. It's like, you know what I mean? The leaks are dripping from all sides. It's very disturbing that all of this stuff is coming out.
Yeah, it is. I mean, that's kind of typically how it goes. That's how the media is able to get their information, is from leaks, from sources, from the federal government.
Yeah.
I mean,
well, let me.
How did they get the Pentagon Papers?
You got Jack Douglas Texera or Teixeira, however they want to pronounce it, Petty Jr. I think it's low-hanging fruit. The FBI goes and arrests the young man, 21-year-old man. Who's his commanding officer, and why would he be privy to an IT guy to highly classified information? Because that should only be to a specific small number of people who should be privy to high classified information. Who's his commanding officer?
Yeah, I don't know.
We haven't heard a thing. Well, we need to know. How can a Petty Jr. get that kind of information about what's happening on a foreign theater of war?
Right. Yeah, that's a good question.
Yeah. So you got a leak from the New York Times because you got somebody on the inside from the Pentagon.
Again, that's
the New York Times,
but that's fairly
a young guy.
That's fairly common.
What I'm saying, it shouldn't happen. You got Jack, who's according to the news report, the sources, that he was on social media playing video games, and he was downloading information and distributing it electronically to others. I mean, this is a breakdown of intelligence.
Yeah. It is. I mean, I'm sort of split on whether or not the New York Times, whether or not there should be. I think leaks to media organizations isn't necessarily a bad thing in a lot of circumstances. Like Pentagon Papers is a good example of that.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, I think there's more to this story. There's more to this story than we're being told, because this is Jack is low-hanging fruit. We need to know who the higher-ups, especially his commanding officer, and what he knew or what he didn't know, what kind of access, security clearance Jack Douglas Texera has.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my concern. Well, it was good talking to you, Marcus. Have a good night.
I appreciate that. Just to clarify, Pentagon Papers was released by Daniel Ellsberg, who worked for the Rand Corporation. But the point of the fact of the matter is it was a significant discovery, right? And one that was important to reveal to the public, and that was done through an illegal leak. So, but he's still alive, actually, Ellsberg, I believe. But 508-996-0500 is how you can join us this evening. We'll also take your messages on the WBSM app. Let's go back to the phones. Good evening.
Hi.
What's up?
Not much. The kid in North Dighton, he's in a heap of trouble, but, nobody's talking about the content. I had Hannity on. They're talking about, oh, boy, we got leaks and information's coming. Nobody talking about the content. They already said that Edward Snowden, remember Edward Snowden?
Of course, yeah.
He released information that proved that we were being spied on.
Yeah, he released the information basically in the NSA gathering metadata for the most part. Right. And then he had to basically I don't know if he still lives in Russia, but he was living in Russia for a while.
No, he got married and he left Russia.
Okay.
I'm going to give you his address. I'm going to reveal anything, but Edward Snowden was he was a whistleblower.
Yeah.
And they called him
like
a traitor, a Benedict Arnold.
Well, there's always a tension with that. Like I said, with people like Daniel Ellsberg, with people like Edward Snowden that reveal information that is probably important for the public to know, but does betray, is illegal and technically does betray your official duty to the federal government. There's always a tension between whether or not they're doing something dutiful and whether or not they're doing something, wrong or unpatriotic.
Well, it's your opinion. It depends. You hate the country, then obviously he was a traitor. Hillary Clinton wanted him dead. She wanted him before a firing squad.
Obama wanted him too. They all did.
Yeah, Obama called him out as the worst traitor going. Absolutely worst traitor of the century.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think Trump did him any favors either. It's not like, I think in terms of, I think the national security state and whoever's in charge of the federal government, there seems to be unanimity there on how to handle Edward Snowden. And
what the media has immediately done now, they said he is not a whistleblower. Several, with NBC, CNN, blah, blah, blah. They said, no, he's not a whistleblower. He's criminal activity, blah, blah, blah. They're going to try to put him in an Edward Snowden box. I'm sorry they're going to do that because Edward Snowden got the hell out of the country. And and he got his stuff released. This kid got caught flat-footed. Everybody in his little chat room should reveal everything they got and get transparent real quick. And if you want to play the Democratic game, I'm not running off on him. You don't have to think much about this. The kid ought to claim himself right now. LGBTQ. I'm considering a transgender operation. I am totally Democratic. I'm all for the Democrats.
That didn't help. That didn't. Why should he do that? That didn't help. That didn't help Shannon Manning. That didn't help Shannon Manning, did it? Shannon Manning still had to do
with me. Are you trying to? You didn't even think what I said. You just bopped right at me.
No, you just said.
I'm going to bop right back at you. Smarten up and listen to me. You're the host. You're the talk master. You can do better than that.
I like the talk master, but you said he should transition. What does that mean? I was asking you to explain that. It was Bradley Manning, formerly Bradley Manning, now Shannon Manning, right? I think it's Shannon Manning. She transitioned. She was sentenced, imprisoned for similar charges. I didn't know what he meant by it. I asked him to explain. He didn't take the opportunity, unfortunately. If you want to call back, it's fine. 508-996-0500. I guess, we'll talk about the leaks from the guy in Dighton. And we can also talk about the revelation that Paul Heroux, Bristol County Sheriff, said he's seen the videos of the ICE detention incident. So let's take a break and we'll be back. We have a great listening audience. I'm reminded that it's Chelsea Manning, not Shannon Manning. I think I said Shannon Manning. It's Chelsea Manning. That's who Bradley Manning he was formerly Bradley Manning. He transitioned. She had transitioned, and now she's Chelsea Manning. But she was imprisoned for very similar circumstances. All right, let's. I think it was a video of drone footage. Good evening. You're live.
You guys are all a bunch of shambles.
All right, I'm sorry that I upset you. All right. Is that it? All right. I'm sorry I upset you. I don't know what I did to upset you, but I don't know. 508-996-0500. Hello.
Hello.
Hey.
Oh, okay. I'm on. I didn't know. I thought you were on with another person.
No, it's you.
Okay.
I just wasn't sure if you were going to yell at me like the last two
have
calls.
I ever yelled at you?
No. I didn't know if you were a caller that would have yelled at me.
No. I'm trying to be as civil as I can. But there is something I'd like to bring up that happened on Tim's show. And again, it's not Tim's fault. It was with the mayor at the end of the program.
Okay.
There was a lady from the Buttonwood Park, I guess, facility, that an elderly lady, probably maybe I'm older than her, and she was complaining how they were, basically let go out of the place and informed that they were going to be let go. And it was at the end of the program. They didn't have a chance, and the mayor didn't have a chance really to answer in any length. But she made a charge that the lady that's running the, I guess, the elderly program wasn't very nice to the people at Buttonwood when they came back. She was kind of abrupt with them. And maybe she wasn't. I don't know, okay? But I do think the way those people were given a fait accompli, that you're out of here, was very poor decorum.
I'm not familiar because I heard most of the interview. I thought I heard all of it, actually.
Well, it was really at the end of the show, and really, I don't think the mayor really had a chance to respond. But again, I just think of an elderly person, and maybe I'm older than she is, of being like my grandmother.
So there was someone that was working at Buttonwood with elderly people?
No,
I'm confused.
She, I guess, went to Buttonwood, and they changed it so they could let the people, I think, that need all-day care go there because they claim it's much bigger than the other places. And, the lady basically said that we were out of there because of the COVID, and when we came back, who's ever in charge now wasn't very nice to us. And then we were informed that we're out of here with no prior knowledge that was going to happen. I think those people that go there should have at least been given the chance, to, hear that what was going to happen and get their feelings about how they felt about that and whatever, and not be given a fait accompli. Fait accompli, accomplished fact, you're out of here.
Yeah.
Okay. So I felt very sorry for the woman, and I don't know how many other people in that area feel like that. I don't know much about those programs, but I think you could have kept the people there and maybe put the people that needed more attention, all-day attention, maybe down at Fort Robin and that big auditorium area they have when you come in. And it might have been better to do that, but I'm not familiar. I just felt sorry for the lady because, again, when I hear somebody older like that, I think of my grandmother being given, the bum's rush, so to speak. You're out of here, that sort of thing.
Yeah, it's terrible. I don't like it either.
I think it was done very poorly. When they talk about, the proper, way of, putting things on the election there for the three questions, and there should have been due diligence. I think there should have been some, tender loving care, TLC, about how they informed the seniors, that they were going to be moved out of that, or at least let them know, prior to doing it and how they felt about it, and not just come on with this is accomplished fact and you're out of here. That was to me, that was just poorly done to old people. It's like, kicking a little kid or something like that too, that sort of stuff. So I just wanted to, get that out there and,
Yeah, hopefully the mayor can provide a little bit more clarity to the situation when he's on with Tim.
Yeah, well, it was at the end of the program, so we really couldn't. But it was the way the whole thing was done. It was just, you have no say. You're out of here. They should have at least let the elder people, vent maybe their frustrations, if they had any, about that taking place. And I just felt very bad about that. The other thing, too, another situation, I watch the city council meetings and stuff because I could sometimes get it on cable. Don't know when they're coming on. But I know Gilly Safiotis, has a lot of issues that he follows and stuff. And I happened to see a while back when they had the meeting about, I think it was people in Trip Towers who were, again, elderly people who were afraid about some of the younger people that are being put in their facility because constant coming and going and this and that and the other. And, there was about 6 people that spoke, and elderly, and, they seemed to be afraid, okay? And at that meeting, the city council said that they were going to look into it and call in the housing authority and ask them, about what's going on and stuff. And, of course, at the last meeting that you guys went to, your station, Gilly was there with a sign saying, okay, you asked the media to come in, they're here, and you asked the housing authority to come in. Why aren't they here? Now, I don't know if the city council is the boss over the housing authority, because I think that's a federal job.
Yeah, I mean, it's basically fully funded by, HUD money, right? It's my understanding.
Yeah, but maybe in name, the city council has an obligation or right to call. Who's the head of it? Is it Beauregard? Have I got it wrong?
You're talking about Gilly's issue with Steve? I mean, I frankly don't think that needs to be really aired out. Well,
much. again, I saw the people.
I think honestly, I think Gilly's got an axe to grind. I think Steve's a good guy, and I don't think that issue really needs to be. I understand, where you're coming from.
Well, I saw the meeting the night when the people came there and Gilly wasn't allowed to speak.
Yeah,
and some of those people seemed scared. Okay. And to me, it would be nice if someone from the housing authority, because the city council did ask someone to come and talk about it, okay? And again, no one from the housing authority came to the city council, as you guys did, and you guys didn't have to, in the media, to speak to an issue, okay? And maybe Gilly's going to ask the guy, maybe he does it, but I saw some people that were elderly and alone and upset.
His big thing was getting Steve off the licensing board or whatever. He didn't want him on the licensing board. I'm not trying to get him off the
licensing board.
And he's not on the licensing board anymore, so
okay,
it's
like... I just think somebody who's ever the head of the housing authority, maybe I got this wrong. Okay.
It's Steve Beauregard.
It is, okay.
Yeah. That
someone should have come and, met with the city council and said, yes, we're looking into that, or, maybe we shouldn't have... younger people in with the older people. But again, just to blow it off and not even show up, I can understand where they might be able to do that, because maybe the city council really has no authority over them, because they're a federal agency. They're called the New Bedford Housing Authority, but they get paid by the feds. Okay, so maybe they don't have to go there. But I think it would be, decent decorum to say, all right, we'll go and we'll answer any questions, just like you guys in the media didn't have to go to the thing that they called. And Channel 6 came, Channel 10, you guys, New Bedford Light was there. It was just, a decent thing to do, that sort of thing. So, again, Gilly aside, I saw those people there that night. He couldn't speak, and some of those people down there seemed scared. And the city council said that they would, have the housing authority come in. And
I understand.
Okay, so that's all I'm trying to...
No, I get where you're coming from. I wasn't sure, because I know that Gilly's been talking about how he wasn't able to speak at a meeting. He's been talking about it for a while.
Yeah, I understand.
I just, I was like, I think that issue in terms of it being aired out on this program needs to be retired. But if it's the public at large, if more people want to speak on this, I think that's a much different story.
Yeah, and again, the city council did say, I think Brian Gomes said that they would look into it, and I think I'm not sure if Linda Morad was there, but they said they would ask the city, the housing authority to appear before them and, ask them questions as they did with you guys. And you guys don't really have to go there as the media. You
you showed up.
I think it's a fair request for the city council. I agree.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. See, and I didn't yell at you.
I appreciate it.
I think you get more done without yelling if you can, and not get.
I concur.
Again, the person that I was very impressed with that came on your show was John Bullitt. He seemed to disagree with Mayor Lang about what should be done, and he did it in a very, very gentlemanly way, and said too that his brother was in the same law office with him, so they're friends and everything, and we have a disagreement, but it wasn't yelling and screaming, and to tell you the truth, I'm trying to follow his lead.
So
very hard.
Yeah, John was a good guest. I got to get him back on.
Yes, he was. He was. Okay. So, that's about all I have. Do you have any questions you want to ask of me?
No. I think I'm good. I think the veto overrides are next week or the week after, so that'll be interesting.
And I know you had the Fairhaven people on. Early. Wednesday night, are these nights usually Thursday night? My night's out to eat sometimes, and I don't get the first part of the show.
Shame.
Well, I got to eat,
Eat at home. Order takeout.
No,
we got DoorDash now.
You must be like me. I'm sure you don't eat home too much either, being a single guy.
No. I mean, it depends. This job kind of makes it hard sometimes, but on the weekends, I like to go out somewhere.
Cooking for one, you throw away a lot of stuff. I found that out very, very early in my life.
That's true.
And again, that way you can. Whatever you eat, you leave where you are, and you throw it away. You don't bring it into your house, and so that's helpful too. And stuff.
I hear that.
But I heard the Fairhaven thing and everything, and I really think the firemen misplayed their hand. I think they should have went for.
Well, now it's not even about the fire department now. Now it's across.
Yeah, the school committee gets into it too, and the schools are going to lose money and this and that. I understand. I think they would have been better served if they went for the FIFA grant? Is that what they call it, the FIFA or whatever?
Safer.
What is it?
Safer
grant. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And if they went for the safer grant for the fire department, maybe got a few guys on there and showed their worth, and now open it up to a 2.5 thing. Well, the school's going to lose money now too, and this one's going to lose money. And again, Fairhaven has a tradition of being a very tight town, okay?
Yeah.
And not wanting to open up the gates like that to say, well, all that. And again, I think Fairhaven has changed.
And I think they explained that they've been able to do that with taking free cash, but now they're out of it. So they've got to move in a more financially sustainable direction.
I think the free cash is going to be there for a rainy day. And I think I agree with you and Chris that Fairhaven has grown, and they need help on the fire department. They may even need help in the school system, and this is going to come through tax dollars.
I got to take these calls and hit this break.
All right, always give me plenty of time. I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. 508-996-0500. Good evening. Oh, wait. Good evening. Hello.
Yes, hello. Good evening.
How you doing?
Tonight I just figured that I would go to bed early, listen to the radio. What is your first name?
Marcus.
Marcus. I've never called your program, but I've never heard a bunch of complainers in all my life on this program. There's nothing constructive that they're offering. Come on, give me a break. So you ruined my whole night here trying to listen to talk radio with all these jibber-jabbers calling in. Now, that sounds terrible of me, but that's how I feel.
Well, now you're complaining. You're adding to it.
No, yes, I am complaining. I certainly am.
This is a forum for people to talk about the things that matter to them. So that's
A quarter of those people they're not involved in any of that. They just like to talk. That's what it is. Now, tell me something. Is Mr. McCarthy coming? Is he on tomorrow?
Mr. McCarthy will be on tomorrow.
Okay. He's very interesting, that gentleman.
I agree.
Well, I'm sorry to complain to you, but I don't want to hold it up anymore so somebody else can call.
Listen, I appreciate you calling in. Have a good evening.
You too.
All right, I got to take a break. I'll be right back.
1420 WBSM is now also on 99.5 FM. WBSM isn't just a broadcast, it's also a podcast. Get all of our podcasts at WBSM.com, the WBSM app, or just search WBSM on your favorite podcast provider.
Welcome back to the show. I'm Marcus. 508-996-0500 is how you can join us. We're also taking your messages on the WBSM app chat. We're talking about a few things. I mean, one of the things is the alleged whistleblower in Dighton, who is apparently an employee of the Army National Guard. This 21-year-old Jack Teixeira of North Dighton. He's expected of uploading highly sensitive documents, U.S. military documents, online. The documents apparently reveal secrets about the U.S. government spying on allies and enemies, along with military strategy and information on the war in Ukraine, among other taboo topics. Those were all reportedly photographed and uploaded to a Discord server last month. So he was arrested today. New York Times identified him earlier. Says he leads an online gaming chat group called Thug Shaker Central, where the photos first appeared. He's an airman first class with the 102nd Intelligence Wing of the Massachusetts Air National Guard. Multiple outlets have reported the document leak may compromise U.S. national security. So we need a little bit more clarity on what these documents exactly contain. And you can find out more on WBSM.com. You can read Kate Robinson. She's got a great story. But I always say it depends on, what this information reveals. There's always, like I said, there's always a tension with that stuff. You think about Daniel Ellsberg and Edward Snowden in particular, even Chelsea Manning, people who have released information that, more or less reveals a bad thing that the government did, right? In Daniel Ellsberg's case, it was the Pentagon Papers, which talked about the U.S. government's involvement in the Vietnam War with, I believe it was Chelsea Manning, it was drone footage that showed some pretty horrifying stuff. I think it was drone footage. And I'll have to check up. I'll have to check that. I've been trying to refresh myself on this stuff and reach out to the AG's office to see if we can get those tapes. Because I don't know if you, in case you didn't hear, Bristol County Sheriff Paul Heroux has revealed, and we'll get the podcast up soon, but Bristol County Sheriff Paul Heroux has revealed that the ICE detention tapes have been released by the Attorney General. He had an opportunity to look at it. We're going to have the sheriff back on tomorrow, so I'm working on booking that for you guys. So we'll have him back on tomorrow to discuss more about that incident. So until then, 508-996-0500 is how you can join me. We can also take your messages on the WBSM app. Just following up on something Jen from Fairhaven said earlier. What is the override exactly going to fund? Firefighter school? What are departments? Why are departments not providing analytics specifically for tourism? Is tourism providing actual revenue? I don't know, but I don't know what tourism has to do with it. But I guess if it's not one particular department, right? It's all departments that are, it's not one particular the department. You say, oh, we cut that, or all of our problems are going to be solved, right? It's a systemic issue. Has to do, honestly, with probably some poor fiscal management over the years. Fairhaven is now under almost completely new leadership than it was just a few years ago. And so it's a time for curative measures to figure out how the town can operate a tourism department, a fire department, a school department, among other things, in a financially sustainable way. So I think that's the current position of the town. So 508-996-0500 is how you can join us. We'll also take your messages on the app chat. I'm going to take one more break for the hour, and then we will be back. Hey, welcome back to the show. 508-996-0500. I just uploaded the podcast from the first 2 hours. So in the first hour, again, we had Fairhaven Select Board members Leon Corey and Stacia Powers. They talked about the Prop 2.5 override proposal, which is a proposition for people in Fairhaven to proposition basically asking the town if for 1 year they can raise taxes beyond the 2.5% limit. And they estimate it's going to cost $11 per $100,000 value assessed on the household. So you can check that out again on WBSM. You can check that out on the podcast, South Coast Tonight. Anywhere podcasts are offered, it's there. Got a great catalog of actually good podcasts. I also just uploaded the podcast with Sheriff Hero, asking him, basically, we're talking to him about his first 100 days conference and then press conference. We talked a lot about a lot of stuff, but then he had revealed that he saw the tapes from the May 1st, 2020 incident with ICE. If you're unfamiliar with the story, I'll explain. And we're also talking about the man from Dighton who's just been arrested for leaking documents related to, I guess, some espionage strategies or spy information and information related to the war in Ukraine. So you can check that out on WBSM.com, the WBSM app, anywhere podcasts are offered. Just to go over the tapes again. So in May 1st, 2020, during the height of the COVID pandemic, there was an incident between the Bristol County Sheriff's officers and the ICE detention center. What exactly happened in that incident has been very widely disputed between the parties involved, between the sheriff's, former Sheriff Hodgson, Attorney General Healy. Hero had said, he said the whole incident was avoidable, but he also said more or less what Hodgson said was true. True in terms of, he said 90 seconds people were out in flex cuffs and they were out. So there were a couple incidents that the way he described them, I personally think are horrifying. One incident in particular is the guy who was handcuffed and being held against the fence with an unmuzzled dog on the other side of it. He was handcuffed. It doesn't make any sense. That one in particular. So he's going to come back on tomorrow, actually, to talk more about it. That's a big story, so we're going to be following that very closely here. I've reached out to the AG's office. I'm hoping they can provide us a copy of those tapes. So we have made contact because I asked Jonathan Darling, who's the public information officer for Hero and was also the PIO for Sheriff Hodgson before. And he said that the Attorney General's office has the authority basically to release those tapes. So reached out. Hopefully they can provide it to us because that's a big story. I'm really interested in that. I'm really hoping, we'll see we'll see more what Haru says tomorrow. We're going to ask him more. I believe Chris will be there as well. So it's going to be a good show. Friday night on South Coast Tonight, we always make some big news. Always make some big news. So you always want to tune in on Friday nights here at WBSM. But 508-996-0500 is how you can join me this evening. We can also take your messages on the WBSM app chat. You can complain if you want. I know another caller said that a lot of complaining. Here's the thing. This is a forum for you to talk about issues that matter. Sometimes that can sound like a complaint. Sometimes it can sound like a grievance. But you can air your grievances here. It's kind of what it's for. Sometimes it can be annoying in particular circumstances. But for the most part, you guys are concerned citizens, and you are concerned about what's going on in your community. I wasn't particularly annoyed by any specific caller today. I think it's all fine. Call in, say what you want. And if I don't like it, I will tell you that I don't like it. Oh, hey. Anyway, 508-996-0500. We'll also take your messages on the app chat if you want to join in or chime in on the conversation. Again, check out those podcasts with Bristol County Sheriff Paul Hero in the first hour. Really dense conversation that we had. He's going to call back tomorrow. We're going to set that up with his public information officer. So Chris and I will be able to talk to him tomorrow about that. That's going to be a good conversation. We'll also talk to I believe Ward 5 City Councilor Scott Lima is scheduled to join us as well to talk about his thoughts on Mitchell's housing plan. So never a dull moment here on South Coast Tonight, and we're always happy that you can join us. Again, thanks to Leanne Corey, Stacia Powers, thanks to Bristol County Sheriff Paul Haro, thanks to all of you who called in, who app chatted, or who just listened. We do appreciate it. It's what keeps us going. Go to WBSM.com. I wrote a couple stories. One was on Keating's housing conference, which was really important stuff. He talked about how to, get more affordable housing in New Bedford. You can go check that story out. You can check out the story on Haro's press conference today. It's really important that you read those, that you go and read those stories. It helps us out a great deal. So go check those out.